Hi, everybody.
Build a
It's
wall.
me, Chad, and Paul, the wall of truth.
Build the wall of truth.
I like your shirt. Looking snazzy.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's got a little penguin on it.
You had an AI meeting.
I had an AI meeting. There's a round table of people that don't use AI but wanted to explain how to use AI at one point. But we're probably going to work together.
Wait. What do you mean they don't use AI?
It is funny how many people in the media industry know exactly how to use AI would have never even trying to have used it before. But this is how we need to incorporate it, and this is how it needs to. Oh, okay.
Oh, so they're telling you what they think the best thing for this is.
The best strategy for incorporating AI. Like, okay, sounds good.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
And yeah, no.
Is it the entertainment people for behind the camera and the front of the camera, or is it business people who are trying to figure
a little
it
bit
out?
of both? And the actors are terrified of it. Business people are cautiously embracing it, but they still don't want to keep their original business practices.
Well, that's understandable for a while.
It is. And what was very funny is I was talking to a guy who owns a very large animation studio, and he said a few months ago he asked about AI to his studio people. You could tell by their age who wanted it and who didn't. The older the creative was, the more adamantly opposed to AI they were. The younger people were embracing it as a new tool.
Which is good.
And how it actually should be at the end of the day.
Yeah. Because if you're older and you're towards the end and you're getting ready to retire, you're still going to have the opportunity to work and do the things you need to do. And maybe you can incorporate some of this. But reality is this isn't your future. You're living in the now. Their future's in front of them, and this is what's going to be a part of it.
But, the current media landscape is unsustainable. Disney just laid off a ridiculous amount of people for a lot of reasons, but one is, streaming is barely profitable. Movies haven't really been profitable, and it's really theme parks and streaming that keeps them in business. But the old way of doing things is just falling apart. AI is revolutionizing production from almost from script writing to post-production and distribution. And the studios are not going to be the big dogs they used to be.
No,
they're just not. The
democratization of all this stuff is going to give people the opportunity to be your own studio at home.
Yeah, 100%. And there's a lot of really cool people. There's people called the Door Brothers that are out there that do amazing AI work. I find most of their little shorts more compelling than anything that comes out of Hollywood. And
what you sent me today was awesome.
There's some really cool stuff.
I mean, you sent me, and I'll see if I can find it and pull it up here, but you sent me the
biblical influencers,
which is hilarious.
It's hilarious. And it shows you how our world would have been ruined if social media existed back then. It's like David and Goliath, and David's talking about how I'm about to go fight this giant guy.
Oh God, yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up here and get the because it's incredible.
Yep.
And where and here's the thing: when you look at it, it looks like a skit.
It does,
right? It doesn't look like weird, crazy stuff. I mean, it looks like an absolute, a script. All right, let me see if I can pull this thing up here because it is pretty damn awesome.
And if you pull up, nobody is real. It is 100% all from the voice to the characters to everything generated in AI. So it's this kind of thing which should really just tell Hollywood that, your days are numbered as being the gatekeepers for entertainment.
100%. I mean, it is incredible. Let's pull it up here. I think I've got it processing it now. I love it. I think it's awesome. I mean, the prompt thing though. Because I try to use prompts and stuff to do some of my thumbnails, especially when I'm going fast and I don't have all day to screw around with them because I'm doing 5,000 jobs. All right, let's check this out really quick.
Your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
Okay, so I told y'all to trust the process. But no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks.
Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude just showed up. It's getting lit in here.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
You know I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, and this whale. Sorry, dude.
So how much of that is that all AI?
100% AI.
So
All
the
AI.
humans are not humans, they're AI.
And what was just released today was a new, basically AI algorithm that allows you to control emotion and the way the humans act and react to things in a minute level. So like a director would. So it really is, and we're about to test it out on a couple projects. It really is becoming, and I said this, and I got today at a larger roundtable meeting, and I got that dirty look. You make it harder if you make me film people. Life is harder if I have to use actors and sets and all this stuff. I can do things so much quicker and better because now I'm at the whim of an actor's talent. Where with AI, I can keep changing it until it's right. It's not how much of a performance can I get out of this actor. It's I'm going to make the performance right. As the creative, saying that if you need to cry, you need to cry realistically. If you need to be upset, it needs to be a realistic upset. Well, I can fine tune that until it looks perfect. Whereas an actor, I have to sit down and try to explain it to him, get him in their emotional mindset to be, your dog got run over and you need to be very sad.
Yeah.
Well, they might not be able to act that well.
Do you remember what was it? Kubrick, he made, was it Eyes Wide Shut? He made Tom Cruise like walk through the door like 100 times. He would make him do it like over and over again. And I think some of that was just also a power play because he was Kubrick. But also at the same time, he was looking for a certain thing that he had in his mind.
Well, apparently, like on The Shining with Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, he did things, threw it on them to get their real time reactions, which was really horrible. Like you don't need to do that to a human being, just so you can get a better performance out of him.
But you hear about that all the time. Who is it? Was it?
I think Hitchcock did the same thing.
Was it at The Exorcist? Right? Like, didn't he walk around shooting off a shotgun and stuff to get them to react to certain things? Like what the? I mean, but now you can do that all with AI.
You can do all with AI, and literally, I don't have to talk someone in. I don't have them to get crying because they're not performing well and run back to their trailer, and I have to wait till they calm down. All that's gone. I don't need a trailer. I don't need a crafts table.
No,
my crafts tables, I can do a run to Jack in the Box and come back.
Here's something though. And again, I'm a freaking big proponent. I own companies with you that are AI. I mean, I don't have to know how the shit works for me to go, I fucking like that. You don't want to get rid of actors altogether, at least not at first. Are you going to have actors though train the AI in some way?
Well, here's one of the things we're doing. So one of the secret sauces we're doing. We're going to continue to use actors, but they don't need to be like prominent. They need to be talented. So because we're going to transfer that performance and that emotion onto whatever character. It could be
ugly people can Milli Vanilli it.
You know what? An ugly actor could be a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Because they can, that's the emotion they have and the acting ability and what they have. They could be like a 5'2", little hairy, bald.
She's got range. She's got emotion.
But has the emotion and the performance. And all of a sudden it's a 6-foot, runway supermodel.
Just like the Lord wanted.
Just like the Lord wanted. But now we need to look at it not as, do you fit the look of the role? Do you fit the personality of the role? Are you the personality that I want to have exhibited within this story? And that's going to open up doors for all kinds of people. So people need to stop looking at all the ways doors are closed and look at how the way doors are opened for people that may not be the Angelina Jolies or the Brad Pitts or the, whoever, the new hot people are, but are still really talented people.
Yeah, you
like
better.
I could be the next Angelina Jolie at the end of the day.
You could. Well, was it like you go back to the day? Milli Vanilli, of course, was famous, and they didn't sing any of their songs, but they had a look. And the people that did sing their songs, let's just say they weren't the best looking people, but it worked for them. So man, that's a trip. I mean, I'm pumped about like a lot of this stuff. So here's a question. And I get this all the time when we talk about this and people send me something from when are we going to get our first real AI movie? And the second thing is, what's a 90-minute movie going to take as far as from start to finish?
They're being worked on now. On average, a 90-minute movie, if it's all AI, you're looking at about a production people of 5 to 10 people.
Okay.
That's amazing. So think of that. Think of the budget of that movie. If you watch the credits, not many people do, but you watch the credits of like a Marvel movie, hundreds of names are rolling.
All over the world too. It's like Britain's, Hong Kong, Singapore, Germany, New York, Los Angeles.
Now, what if you only had 10 names rolling? Well, people go, oh, all these people are going to be out of jobs. Yeah, but those 10 people that contributed will have residuals.
Yeah.
And that means that if they made $1 billion film, they're not looking for their next living paycheck to paycheck anymore.
Yeah.
Right now, that giant scrolling thing, all those people, other than directors and Brad Pitt, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
And so it changes it. So it'll be less. But if you work on the next Minecraft or, some cool movie that makes a tremendous amount of money, at least your mortgage might be paid for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's a huge difference.
So you got 10 or 15 people working on something.
Yep.
What is let's just say it's a drama movie with a little bit of action, but not too crazy. What's the start to finish?
In costs or time?
Yeah, well, cost and time. So you start January 1 and it's 95 minutes.
On average, say 5 to 6 months, because you need to write it. You want to make sure you're working with a director to get the performance. There's still that human component. You still want a director to say, because the computer can't do that.
Well, it's just like having a director that works on animation.
Exactly. But now you're saying, okay, this is the scenes you want, and this is how you want the characterization to happen and the dramatic points, and you still have to make a flow of a movie. But now the control is crazy that they have over that. Not just what did I shoot in this, in the 3 weeks I have budgeted to shoot, an ocean scene. What footage did I get? No, up until basically the very last day, you can keep changing it. Oh, I wish that actor said this, or I wish I should have had this, or maybe, in that boat, I should change that scene. Keep changing it. So for the editing room is the perfecting room, not what do I do with what I have in the can and how do I make what I already shot the best it can be. It's the entire process of how to make this the best it can be.
So the minute you say action, 5 weeks?
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. It depends on how
dramatic movie might be, and I'm not taking in the account, they say double it for marketing, but let's just say a movie, a $40 million budget movie, the cost of that compared to what this would cost.
On average, take about 10%.
So 40 million would be 4 million.
So 40 million would be 4 million. And the reason why is 40 million, you'll probably have a level of writer and a level of director that are very expensive. So that's not really going to diminish that much.
But when you're getting back end,
it changes
at this size, people are willing to work for less if they think they're going to get more.
Yep. So I think the industry is Sinners, that movie Sinners changed a lot because that director wanted a piece of the back end, wanted to own the IP, the ability to do any sequel. I forget his deal was very unique. And now they're like, Sinners did really good.
Oh, it did.
All these prominent directors are going to want similar deals.
Yeah. Who was that? That guy was Ryan Coogler.
Yeah. It was a prominent. Yeah,
so he did Black Panther. Yeah. He did Fruitville, Creed. He's done a lot of big stuff.
Yep.
So
and he went in, and that movie knocked it out of the park.
Oh, it's totally did. What's that thing done? Like 400 million worldwide, something like that.
Crazy. And the budget was not very high.
350 on a $180 million total budget, including marketing.
Exactly.
So if you're taking people forget that on the back end, you're getting 35 million on top of your maybe million up front, and that doesn't even include going forward.
Not include going forward, because they're definitely will be making a sequel to that.
Yeah.
Which is good. Honestly, that movie could have ended there, but whatever. They'll make a sequel.
We'll make a sequel at anything given the opportunity.
Sometimes I like stories like Jaws. I was fine if it ended at 1.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I liked 3 and 4 for their stupidity more than I liked 2.
2 tried to continue 1,
Yes.
and and it just didn't feel
No, it's
right.
like you have everybody but Dreyfuss and Spielberg. Yeah, but those are I need Spielberg. And
And Quint.
and obviously we lost Quint, but it's like,
Yeah, exactly. It was like, if they ended at 1, but they have to now, everything's a franchise. Everything has to be, I got to sell toys and shirts and everything, which I understand. But sometimes I do see already that I'm like, yeah, but sometimes maybe a movie just needs to be a movie.
yeah, it just needs to be a movie. That's it.
Like,
We don't
Citizen Kane didn't have Citizen Kane 8.
It would have today, though.
It would have. Citizen Kane 8, The Reckoning.
No,
And,
well, and Orson would have freaking at that point in time directed it because Orson really had nothing else going on. Let's not forget that he had a lot of issues.
Yeah. After Hoax, yeah.
The AIs, we're talking about AI. I saw Marjorie Taylor Greene came out. She's like, I'm not going to pass this big beautiful bill because it centralizes AI at the federal level for control and takes it all away from the states.
Well, that's a double-edged sword. Doing this, knowing and understanding, having a very long talk about copyright today. I do like the idea that a government agency will be like, this is copyrightable and this is what we're going to do. And these are the guidelines. And every little state is going to jump in and change that. So when it comes to regulating some of this technology,
like from some of this stuff, and so it's very interesting. The Secretary of Commerce shall use funds appropriated by the subcommission for following, and then it goes into replace or modernize within the Department of Commerce legacy, blah, blah, blah. But then you get to the stuff where they start talking about a lot of it has to do with models.
Oh, you froze. You dropped.
Government is, oh my God, there you go.
That'll be right back. Yep. No, you're back again.
I'm back again. The central government, I just feel like, is going to take this thing over and run with it.
Well, I didn't hear what you said. It said it regulated the models.
Yeah, it's going to. So the way in general, except for providing a paragraph, blah, 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 beginning a 10-year period on the date of the enactment of this, any law or regulation of the state or political subdivision, therefore limiting, restriction, or otherwise regulating artificial intelligence models, intelligence systems, or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce, essentially is now all handled by the federal government. So the states won't be able to regulate their own federal and their own AI, which I'm not a fan of. When I look at it, like for copyright, that's going to be just like it is for music, right? Like, you can't.
They're already arguing that. They're already arguing, saying that this isn't copyrightable because the AI was a participation in it. And I'm like, no, that's not even close because there's still human interaction. For example, when it goes to the e-commerce system, the social commerce system, we're doing a marketplace. We have AI powering it. If we were subject to every single state could change how we use AI to power that e-commerce, you cripple business. We couldn't do business.
Oh, I could see that. But when we're talking about like copywriting my face or something like that, that's a different thing rather than the back end kind of codey things behind there and how they want stuff.
So is everything. This is all brand new. The idea that the federal government, just like it does copyright law or like it does trade law or there's a lot of tax law, should take a brand new technology and put the guidelines in it that would go for all the states, I'm not sure I have a problem with, because I am so deep into AI and we're developing all kinds of things from e-commerce solutions to media solutions. If I only had one guidelines to go by, I think that's a benefit for the industry.
I could see in certain areas, absolutely. But my fear is that they're going to go in and, God only knows what they're going to also tell you can't do. And because let's be real, it's government. And when government, what if you're doing something awesome and they say, you know what, we really need that. You don't really have a choice anymore.
Well, you know what? That's the problem with it could go in any way. You could say one state just made where everybody else is fine. That state said it's not. And I have to just do things for a singular state, or the government. We don't know. This is a quagmire that has to be opened. And I'd rather argue that case instead of with 50 states with one federal government. If I have to go against and say this is a stupid criteria for what you've just put in place, I only have one argument to make to one location, not 50 arguments.
So
I actually, I think it's actually
okay.
good.
By the way, it also integrates all AI systems nationwide into the federal government agencies. So, which again,
What does that mean?
So they can essentially integrate the large language models right into anything that, essentially going, hey, those are ours now. We're going to use these. See, again, it goes to it's
don't they already do that in the patent office?
Yeah. Well, let's be real here for a second, too. You and I both know this as much as anybody, that this is whole thing with the big, beautiful bill that's not very big, or it's big, it's freaking bloated, it's not very beautiful. It's like you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. But it's like a movie. I tell everybody. So Congress, they said, hey, we're going to do a movie. Great. Well, let's get script writers. So they write a script, and then they go and they go, we really like this. So they go rewrite it. Then they hire some other guys to rewrite it. Then they finally get what they think is right. Then they pass it off to somebody else. And that somebody else is going to be the final write-up, which is going to be the Senate. So you don't know what's in it until you see it. I mean, this could be the next Citizen Kane, as you said, or this could be Muppets in Outer Space.
And actually, you know what? Muppets in Outer Space was a great movie, so I'd be fine with that. That's a very fun movie.
But we don't want Muppets. We already have enough Muppets running around.
Exactly. Or in Sesame Street thing, there'd be the gay Muppets. But I think at the end of the day, if just like the patent office, the government reserves the right. Do you really think DARPA doesn't mine patent applications to see new technologies can be applied to DOD or something like that?
Do you think that anybody knows that the DARPA funds half this stuff, like Google and all these places? So it's a little different. If you and I come up with a large language model, they're probably medium, kind of not very smart, but wears a little helmet. That should be called helmet AI.
It'd be a small language model, yeah.
But if they come up with it and it's kicking ass, do I want them to regulate and take it? Because here's the thing. You and I both know this. What that does when the federal government gets involved is they start putting certain regulations, which then takes away the democratization of AI and allowing smaller folks to get into the world.
It could, or because they kind of did it with the social networks like Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah, all of those big businesses want regulations because they know it's harder for you to get in because they're already entrenched.
But also, Facebook already owns your face and your likeness and anything you've ever posted of your dog or your dinner or your lunch. And no one seems to care. The government's basically saying the same thing. We, for governmental purposes, can use anything, which means we can use Chinese. We can use DeepSeek. If you develop something on DeepSeek, which is a Chinese algorithm, I can use that. I'm not sure yet if I think that's bad or not.
Well, we're going to find out. Again, we don't know what it looks like at the end, but as of this, a lot of people are standing up going, you know what, there's a lot of stuff in here I'm not thrilled by. And that's one of those things, because I'm a big believer in states' rights. You can't scream states' rights. And I understand AI, we got to have some regulations at the federal level, mostly because we don't want the fucking thing to twist off and kill us all. But, at the same time, if it's going to impede small businesses who aren't Google, who don't have billions and billions of dollars behind them to get into it or make it tougher, that becomes crony capitalism 101.
But here what you just said is the small company that created the doomsday device that is only now viable because of AI. Again, is this covering in the best way possible every turn? No. But is there a lot of these potential bad scenarios that this could be covering that could be positive for our society? 100%.
Oh yeah. Look, AI is a huge benefit. There's doubt.
Some benefits to the government control. If it's not crazy control, if it's simple control, it's like, hey, Paul, I saw you guys just made something that could hack into a nuclear power plant. I don't think you should.
You're going to do that anyways. No.
Maybe. I think if the government oversight, like if they're watching like that and they're like, that thing's getting a little too smart. Maybe we should take a look at that, because what are you doing with it?
You're like, what are you going to do? Stop me? You're not going to stop me.
Yeah, well,
you can't stop.
But that's the scary thing. Literally, a group of 5-10 guys could train a model that could potentially become a monster.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not putting that into the equation.
Here's like, because we've always talked about this, you and I. So you go back 10 years, what was the average technology, which was way better than obviously the 1990s and stuff. It doubled what, every 16 to 18 months?
Something like that. Yeah, it was Moore's law. Yeah.
AI's doubling what, every 5 minutes, it feels like?
honestly, every week it feels like there's another progression that's a leap forward, not just a little like an incremental progression. Like, wow, that can do that now. What people aren't taking into consideration with AI, and I think that I don't think I'm overestimating that. The difference is I can't build a nuclear bomb. Me and 10 guys can't get together and create a nuclear bomb. We can create a devastating equivalent in AI in our basements. It might take time.
In theory, you could create something that could take over a nuclear bomb that's built.
You could
do something devastating enough to the water supply or anything like that. You could build
there is no weapon system or really anything before now that I could have done to equate to the potential devastation that can do. There's only so much fertilizer I can turn into a bomb.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I can literally say when it comes, I don't know the rest is in the big, beautiful bill, but when it comes to that, I do not know because there's so many potential bad things that can happen. Is it better for the government to have oversight in all of it to make sure regulation happens across the states to try and prevent some of this really bad stuff? Let's wait and see. We don't know. None of us know.
Again, I want to see what it looks like at the end because I usually don't cover this stuff, but I also look at this is different because Trump's trying to get this thing through and it is a giant turd. It's going to add a ton of stuff that we don't need. And everybody goes, I want to save money. Let's save money. And they're like, we're going to cut. Oh, no. You cut over there. I don't want you to cut any of my stuff. Like my stuff's good. That's the bad stuff. And then they're like, no, cut his stuff. We don't have a revenue problem. And it shows us we have a spending problem and we're spending out of control. We're not doing any of the quote unquote Doge stuff that really, quite frankly, ended up being virtually nothing. None of it's really codified. The money is you're not raising the debt ceiling $5 trillion as a safety net, as a just in case. You're raising it because you're already spending way more. I mean, you say Doge saved us 150 billion, give or take, and then you're spending 300 billion more on military. We spend enough.
The 100%. Well, again, it goes back to this is why the media's lies are detrimental. I was told for months about Doge was cutting so much, it was cutting too much. There was no way we would recover. None of that was true. I'm told all these
tried,
things
but we're just told you can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm told all these things nonstop, blown out of proportion of these little Chicken Littles telling me how the sky's falling. I don't know if this is a bad bill or not because I've been told everything. It'll take years to recover from the tariffs. It didn't. It'll take this. Doge is cutting.
I was talking to my buddy today who works in and around DC with some people that we may or may not know who are on TV all the time. And they were joking around. Like, dude, don't even ask. I couldn't even tell you what tariffs are on or off at this point. He goes, quite frankly, if I asked their office, I don't think they could tell us what's on. Like, is that
what the media told us? The media said this is destroying America. This is going to take years to recover from. Trump is destroying the economy. Doesn't sound like it.
But we didn't. But the thing is, tariffs never really went into effect for like an hour and a half.
Exactly. So all the media's whining wasn't real. So I no longer know. Basically, I do know. If the media says it, it's probably a lie. If the media says be worried about this,
well, they did that to themselves. I mean, I come at stuff and I'm like, look, the tariffs aren't on. If we're 6 months and the tariffs have been on for 6 months, we have that conversation. They've been on for 2 months. We never had them on because, and you know what, dude, people also, this is interesting. Last week, he said, I'm putting tariffs on 50% on Europe. The market did nothing. And you want to know why? Because my buddy Lawrence trades big time in the market says, dude, nobody believes Trump's going to do it. So they just believe he's just all talk. And so they moved on, which isn't good because if they're not believing it, then chances are other countries are going, he's not going to do anything.
Well, again, like I said, no matter what Trump does, they're going to say it isn't good, even though our net positives seem to be very clear. Our markets are better. We have a better net positive deal with China if they live up to it. We have better deals with UK, better deals across the board with a lot of these people we're negotiating with. But anybody in the media tells us Trump doesn't know what he's doing, even though we're getting better deals. Now, are they the greatest deals on earth? No, Trump exaggerates.
Oh yeah.
But are they better deals? That's all that matters, is
I
the
have
brass
no idea.
tacks. Of the
Like
thing.
to this day, I have no idea what we got out of it with China.
China had various things where you used to have a 10% tariff on different categories.
Yeah.
By doing this, Trump expanded the categories that we do the 10% tariff on, and he basically raised tariffs across the board for China. He also enacted a few other trading restrictions.
Yeah, well, I know that stuff, but what did we get out of it?
You mean the average person? Well, I think that by doing that, it then will encourage more manufacturing to come on board, and it also will.
We just spent 30
China.
minutes talking about AI and robots. Yeah. Hey guys, really smart people are going to be taking all your jobs.
Really smart people. Well, again, we're going to be taking all of China's jobs. The stuff is already being manufactured somewhere else.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that they could take a massive hit. We account for 20% of their. I think a lot of people think we're like 85% of China's income. We're not. We're about 18 to 20%. So that would take a big hit. But if other countries just said, I'm not quite sure I can trust you guys, we don't want to push other nations over to them. Which who knows what will happen. Again, we don't know what any of it looks like.
Well, it looks like there was a contraction from China towards us during this whole thing, because they said, you know what, Trump, people can whine about Trump, but at the end of the day, America is a bigger safe harbor than China. At least in America, I can sue for copyright.
They're a closed economy.
And China, I can't. If you steal my IP, my manufacturing, anything, that's I can do.
No, not a damn
thing.
You can't even take them to court.
If you're going to make the world choose between America and China, they're going to go America, because at least we have recourse.
Yes, at least, yeah. You can
There's
come here.
No recourse in China.
No, zero. But,
and again, this isn't saying Trump's a genius or the greatest guy on earth, but it's saying that stop telling me the sky's fallen when really maybe an acorn fell.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Again, tell me. I always keep going to people. So, what exactly are we getting out of this? I don't know, because I don't even know what's on. Because I know we put 50% on Europe, and then it was like we were joking today on the air. We're like, by the time we get off the air today in 3 hours, Trump will have taken and putting off 48 different tariffs, and we'll be back to the same place as we were earlier.
One of the things, because if you listen to the BBC and the British, European media, they're mad that the Ken Starmer did a horrible deal and let Trump walk all over him, and that the meat industry is going to take a hit, and all these different industries in the UK are going to be devastated because of how America got such a good deal. You never hear that in the American thing, but you hear this in the British news, which I always thought was weird. So either Trump did get a good deal in benefit to America, and opened up markets that were no longer weren't previously open to us, as what the British are saying, and being mad at their politicians for allowing it to happen, or it didn't happen. Yeah. So the British media is lying to the British people that the liberal guy,
all the time,
the liberal guy they elected, cowed down and bent over backwards for Trump.
All the time they lie to their people, the British media. At this
media lies nonstop to everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't understand then where I find the truth. Because I hear from Britain how Trump basically bum rushed all of the UK.
And I don't even, again, it's like, what? Like, I'm trying to remember. I can't even, here's the thing, Paul. I do this for a living. I'm like, I can't even remember what we got out of with the UK. I don't.
It was a lot of meat stuff, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it's weird.
UK's meat. But it was a lot of like meat and that kind of thing. There's a lot of agricultural.
Haven't been there for a while. When I was younger, the meat stuff was very important, because I remember when they had mad cow disease and they couldn't export their meat anywhere because of mad cow disease. That really hurt everybody. I know it's a lot of meat and agricultural stuff, but I don't know. Like cars, everybody talks about cars. If you go to Europe, let me tell you something. They got a lot of cool cars that maybe work here. Our big cars aren't going to work there. Their streets are tiny. You're not driving a dually down their street.
What they got mad, and it looked like it was because Starmer was in front of the Jaguar factory, and all the Jaguar people looked like they were at a funeral, because we got a deal out of him that limited Jaguar sales into America at 100,000. Well, last year, I think it was 106,000 they sold. So America can no longer be seen as a growth market for a Jaguar, for example. Now it's a luxury car, but still, it's in other words, we said that you are capped at a certain amount, a foreign car maker. and that certain amount is basically what you currently sell in our market.
Didn't they? But it was weird because I think they gave an exemption, right, for Range Rover.
Which is, that's what's bizarre.
Yeah.
You know why? I don't know if because, for example, does Jaguar compete with Cadillac? And so he did something. I don't know, but if Jaguar competed with Cadillac and you want to give Cadillac an up in the American market, but Range Rover doesn't have, it doesn't really compete with Escalade or anything.
Yeah.
Is there an opening then for Range? And Range Rover also supplies military, where Jaguar doesn't.
Yes.
Could there be something he gave because there's a military contract with Range Rover that's this? Again, if people would stop worrying about Trump, because I think the Trump derangement syndrome is gone off the hook, and just pragmatically looked at the policies and the details and what's going on, we could be having good deals. We really could.
So the U.S. agreed to lower its 27.5% tariffs on UK car import to 10%. Up to the first 100,000. Then after that, it goes up to 25%. Well, that sounds like they got a good deal.
They don't think they did.
Aluminum has been imposed at 50%, but then it was dropped down again, and then none of this is going to take effect until July of this year. And then the UK product, they're going to eliminate 20% tariffs on UK beef, on US beef, and duty-free quota of 13,000 metric tons of other stuff. I have no idea whatever.
And the BBC was complaining, and their analysts were saying, you're destroying the British farmer. You're destroying the UK agricultural sector because you bent over backwards to Trump. What's funny is you won't hear that kind of rhetoric that Trump did a good deal from American media. So, you hear that they've been over backwards. You hear Trump's a chicken. Okay, well, why isn't the rest of the world saying that when they're whining about their?
Because everybody liked it the way it was. That's the way they look. Why are you messing? But I'm looking at this, and I know that U.S. car manufacturers were pissed about the deal with the Brits. In particular, the unions were like, "Wait a minute here, this screws us." But outside of that, and again, like July, like this one with the steel, that doesn't go into July, and I just get frustrated because by the way, by the time July rolls around, we'll have 28 different tariffs that have gone on and off by then. So why pay attention? What else?
Is that getting us better deals at the end of the day? That's what I'd love. I'd love a sober-minded economist to sit down and go, you know what? This is how we fared at the end of the day. Not the media running around like chicken littles telling me the sky's falling every 2 minutes and our economy's over and Trump's a dictator and we're all about to invade Poland.
Our economy's never going to be over. Look, and I hate to tell people this out there, our economy, even with Biden as he was, compared to the rest of the globe when it came to inflation, we kicked ass. We didn't have the issues.
You realize, even if Kamala Harris had won, America's not going under.
No, because America's about us.
Exactly. But if Trump wins, I have to believe America's going under?
No. People are just mad at, oh my God, Trump, fucking get over yourself for Christ's sake.
I just don't believe it. I'm like, no, America's not going under.
No. We're not the Aztecs.
We're not exactly. It's like it's over. Trump's policy is going to ruin us. Like,
it's all gone now. There's nothing just here. It's just exactly. We're all wandering aimlessly like a bunch of. Because it goes back to where can I find any truth? And you can't find any truth. It's like even today, I was talking to a guy online, and he was going back and forth because I said, look, this is the way I look at like the Israel conflict with Hamas, because it's not with the Palestinian people, because I can do two things at once. I can go, Israel has every right to defend themselves, but I think that maybe this isn't going to end any other way than they start to slowly rebuild, and all you did was widow 40,000 women and turn their young sons into future martyrs unless you give them hope.
Yes. I don't know where to stand on that. I do understand that I look at it and said, if a bunch of guys came into my house, raped and murdered my family members, I would kill them all. I would kill every last one of them. I would hunt them all down and destroy every last one of them. Is that the moral and the right thing to do? No. Is that the human thing to do?
If you were chasing them, the problem is you wouldn't walk by a school and shoot all the kids on your way to get them.
If they were hiding in the school and the only thing I had was a grenade and they were hiding behind children, I still wouldn't kill a child.
See,
the problem.
there runs the problem when you're firing
That's the
stuff
problem.
from 1,000. I mean, from 5 miles away, 20 miles away. It's so, and you wouldn't starve them out. You wouldn't starve kids out. See,
I wouldn't starve the kids out, but I would never stop. I would go after those people if I had that means.
but you've got
And if it took a decade, I would kill them all.
well, yeah, but here we are. How many decades are we into this?
Yeah, I know.
That's the
But
thing.
they've got to figure out a better way to get rid of Hamas. Because you're right, I can't kill a kid.
No.
Even if Hamas is holding the kid.
Or a 32-year-old woman who's got 3 kids and you've killed her husband and her older brother and her dad and her mom, and she's living in a freaking, not a 2-bedroom, a 2-wall house with no roof.
Yeah.
Would you like me to show you the 2-wall house? We have a 3-wall house, but you don't make that kind of money.
This is the problem with this kind of war. It's not looked at as war. War, I'm going to have casualties on both sides.
And there's going to be uniforms. There's going to be an outline of something that says, look, here are the parameters that we are going to, for the most part, fight with. We're going to fight in these parameters. You got a flag. I got a flag. I'm trying to do this. You're trying to do that. Yes, there'll be some sabotage and some other stuff, but we have an outline of what's happening.
And honestly, the Ukraine and Russia war is better defined that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ukraine just destroyed a bunch of planes that were war planes. It wasn't just like a house or something.
Was that awesome?
Yeah, that was actually kind of awesome. It was amazing.
I was watching it and I'm like, is this AI? Because it feels like it's AI at first, right? Because you don't know. So Operation Spiderweb, they're blaming a DJ as the dude who was the mastermind of it because he owned all the trucks. They moved the trucks into Russia. The doors opened up or the roof opened up and then they took off. And I was like, that's fly.
And hit a military target.
Yep. 30% of their bombers are gone. That's pretty damn amazing.
It's amazing. And it's a war. And could have a couple civilians that were like snacking near a bar. Yes. Maybe they were, but they didn't target. You know what I mean?
No,
it's like collateral damage sometimes happens, but all in all, they targeted military structures and got rid of them. Israel needs to figure out how to target Hamas. I have no problem with them
because they're not wearing uniforms. It's a guy in a t-shirt and a guy in a pair of jeans. So and the other thing is, and I look at this and I said, is it genocide? Is it war crimes? They've actually come out and said their own former people have come out and said, yeah, we is all of it war crimes? No, but have we committed some? Maybe we've more than tiptoed at it. The problem is you need to install a government that is most likely outside of Qatar, Hamas, but probably in the West somewhere, or even in other parts of who are well-educated, who want to get back home and lead their country. And you need to install them outside of there and maybe do everything you can to push for some sort of civil unrest up against Hamas, and then recognize those people as the rightful government, because otherwise what's going to, as I was talking to this guy, I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? Well, we got to kill them all. Who are all?
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
My
thing is, you got to kill all Hamas. I'm fine. Kill all of Hamas.
Yeah. They're not walking around with a t-shirt going, I'm Hamas. Yeah. No.
It's like, kill everybody in a Nazi uniform. We're at war with Nazis. If you're wearing a Nazi uniform, you got a weapon. We should, kill you.
We know exactly what we were doing.
But unless you talk about Dresden, we killed more civilians. Yeah. The British killed more German civilians than the Germans ever killed the British civilians.
Yeah.
Does that make what the British did wrong?
No, because no. I mean, you bombed us. We're bombing you. There's a recognition that we're recognizing what's going. The difference is at this point in time, Hamas, they shot their shot on October 7th. There is no more. Right? It's fireworks at this point in time and machine guns at best. It's over. There is no, they don't have anything to match. And then the food. I mean, I look at the food thing and aid, and I'm thinking, having people starve as bullshit. Well,
it's a bad look because we did see concentration camps and that kind of stuff, and people starving, and it's. Think of it. Think if Germany had all those people were fat and well fed, it would have been a different thing in our minds. We'd have been like, It's bad. I'm not saying, but they were just kept in this camp and they're all fat and
They
eating pie.
came there, they were all like fit, and then they all left with type 2 diabetes. You're like, oh shit, that's horrible.
We'd have thought different of the whole thing. We're like, I don't know, whatever.
Where'd they go to? It wasn't a concentration camp, it was a cupcake camp, and it was just the worst.
Exactly.
No, it wasn't that. But you look over there and you're seeing the pictures and seeing the videos, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not who we are. The West needs to do better. And I understand that because Israel's not happy because they feel like Bibi's dragging this thing out because he, like us, dude, we get into shit and we don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think they have to be willing to say, yes, more casualties on Israel's side is going to happen because we're going to stop this and they are going to try and attack us again.
Yeah.
But if they know every time they attack us, it doesn't have to go this far, but we will attack you big time, that might help stop it. If look at, we didn't have to go this far. We didn't have to kill, but if you attack us again, we're going to bomb the crap out of you again. Within a reason.
Yeah.
And you do that multiple times, it probably would stop it.
At least for you haven't fixed the problem. And the problem is when people have 3-bedroom, 2-bath mortgage and a report to get to their boss tomorrow, they have a future and they're working for something that takes their idle hands away. And right now, there isn't that. There's no hope. They just hope to find food.
Exactly. When 100%, when I'm working and I got to make sure my kids are going to have their birthday present next week, and my anniversary's coming up. My wife wants to have a vacation or something. I work harder for those goals.
Yes.
Not can I kill a Jew?
Yeah. Because I got nothing else going on, and the Jews aren't allowing food in there. They seem to be controlling my life where I can and can't go. And yes, our people have caused some problems. There's no doubt about that. But it's the sins of the father. Well, guess what happens if you're going to tell them that all the sins of the father on them? What's to stop them from continuing to sin?
Well, yeah. Well,
at some point you think common sense is another man's terrorist.
Yeah, but common sense would come into play across the board. Like, when does Hamas see all the death and destruction they are causing by not surrendering, by keeping the hostages, by fighting back nonstop, and which is always so funny. No one says Hamas has anything to blame.
No, they
Hamas doesn't surrender. Hamas doesn't say it's turned down any of the peace potential talks.
Yeah, well, and so did what's his name, Arafat.
So the innocent people that are dead have two people to blame those deaths on. Hamas and Israel.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I mean, Arafat, like Clinton's book talked about, it was the 12th hour. He thought the deal was done. There was going to be 2 states, and Arafat said no. And he was so pissed. He said it's the most devastating thing in his political life that he went through, which was he gave them everything. He goes, we've been over backwards. We essentially said yes to everything. And that's when I realized it's not about getting the stuff. It's about the control and the power.
And like I use that example, someone holding a child to their chest to kind of block if I'm going to shoot him. Well, he's guilty too.
Oh, he's the most guilty because
every time that they hide in a hospital or they hide in a school.
Yeah.
Like the idea that Hamas is not absolutely evil because they do use human shields. And all the blame is all transferred onto Israel. Yeah. Doesn't mean Israel's, but all the blame's on Israel. You're like, if I kept running the school buses and you were trying to kill me, and in that you kept trying to shoot me, you kept shooting kids, I'm also to blame.
Yeah. Well, by the rules of, I believe the rules set out in the Geneva Convention, if you are using human shields or anything like that, those deaths are on you, not them. The difference is if that's a guy that is a Hamas guy and he has no weapons and I still decide to shoot the 40 people in front of him to get to him, there's where you're walking that fine line of like, yeah, in theory. But
it's like the letter of the law and the spirit of the law.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Seriously, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to let you go this time, but I'm going to keep hunting you. And Jews have proven that they're very good at hunting people. Look at all the Nazis they hunted down for decades.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's like, guys, remember that. Doesn't mean you let these
Eichmann, when they got Eichmann, when they went and got Eichmann.
You literally hunted them for decades and got them.
Yeah.
Think of that. channel that again. Say maybe this isn't the way. Maybe what we do.
Maybe we need to be more surgical and less
we're gonna,
brute force.
Yep. And we're going to let you know you're never free. You're not going to go live a good life from now on. We're going to make sure every Hamas person is gone. I think that's I would good. Do it, Israel.
Well, you got to try something, because what you tried in the past doesn't work, and I don't feel like this is working either. And it's like even with immigration. I was watching here. I'm going to play this. This is Caroline Levitt, who I don't know. She doesn't always have to yell at everybody. I want
to bring it back to the way you began your briefing, talking about the president's mass deportation program and his priorities. 40% of crop farm workers in the U.S. are undocumented, and that's according to the Agriculture Department. Do they have a carve-out in terms of the president's mass deportation program?
The president and the Trump administration have been very clear. If you are in the country illegally, you are subject to deportation.
Is there any concern that, given that large number, if that number is correct, 40% of crop farm workers being undocumented, that could impact the food supply here in America if those individuals that obviously help pick crops all across the country are deported en masse?
Again, this administration is focused on deporting individuals who are in our country illegally. It's something we have to do. We cannot allow the previous administration's invasion of our country of illegal immigrants to continue. We just can't have it. And this is a law and order president. As for our farmers and their concerns, they have a president who has their backs and listens to their concerns and hears them. But we also have a legal pathway to come to this country and work specifically for agricultural work. So there's a legal way to do it, and we encourage that legal pathway, and we're currently working on strengthening our legal immigration system for that reason.
Should make it a lot easier. I hear this, and it's funny because I played a bit of this today when I was on my local show, and the thing that makes me laugh is people like, yeah, we'll just get Americans. No, you won't. You won't get Americans. You think Americans? My God, they won't garden their own backyard. You think they're going to go out and pick in the hot sun for 8 hours a day?
Well, so what I hear is, Mr. Lincoln, do you think that there's going to be a clothing shortage if you get rid of all these slaves? They're 90% of all cotton's being picked by these slaves. How dare you destroy the cotton industry? That's what I hear every time a Democratic talks, because they were the side that were pro-slavery, so it makes sense. But so you're telling me that we should allow illegal activity to happen because we might have to figure out new ways to harvest our fruits and vegetables? That means we should allow all this illegal immigration to continue on?
That's a white person thing. I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for the other white people that don't want to pick their stuff. Until we get robots, how can we make this? We don't have the cotton gin or anything like that yet. Is there any way we can have? How does this work here?
But you realize that is 100%. Yeah.
Can we get the prisoners to do it? How is this going to work? Because we don't want to do it. Like, that's the other side of it. It's like, you would think, you know what? Screw it. We as Americans will do it. Everybody's like, no, we won't.
That's my point. It's like, so we have a problem, but the solution would be get off your fat ass talking, and just pick your own stuff. Oh, I don't want to do that. Well, guess what? You're right. Technology fixed the cotton thing, the cotton gin. Technology will fix this problem. Of course, I always believe technology fixes problems, but I really do. And what I hear from the Democrats, again, don't get rid of our slaves. Don't get rid of our slaves again. There may be slightly, they don't have quite as dark of a tan, but they're still Democratic slaves that they're arguing for.
Yeah. See, dude, I'm on that 100%. Like, but because I don't eat fruits or vegetables, as you can tell. So none of that really matters. But my thing is, though, okay, I'm like, so what happens to the farmers? You know, because I've got buddies who, like, I've got a buddy here who was telling me the other day, he's like, dude, right now, because of the ICE raids, I can't get people to work. And I go, what are you paying? He goes, up to $35 an hour. He goes, and I pay by the end of the day. So you work for me today, I get you your money by the afternoon. He goes, I can get white guys, black guys. You know who shows up? Mexican guys. And they'll work all day. Hondurans, Venezuelans, they'll shut their mouth. They'll work all day. They'll work freaking up. They'll go up and down ladders to do all the kind of stuff. I can't get anybody to show up my freaking jobs.
Dad used to say that.
Yeah.
When he had his company, he goes, and he was Hispanic, of course, but he tried to hire anybody. But white guys and black guys, they don't work as hard. This isn't racism. This was a Mexican man going, the Hispanics work harder. They give me the longer days. But here's my problem again. It's a growing pain for a better future. We as Americans can't stand the idea that will agriculture industry have to go through a transition, and will people finally have to feel it? Grapes cost $20 a pound. Well, maybe we should find a solution for this.
Well, my solution is what? Don't eat grapes.
Don't eat grapes. Yeah, don't eat apples. Don't eat grapes. But my thing is like, okay, I should allow illegals to break our law, abuse our system, take healthcare and all this stuff that should be going to veterans and our people here, because I don't want my fruit to spoil on the vine, or some. I'm not sure what this argument is.
Well, I think the argument is like from a farmer or a boss kind of standpoint. Okay, that sounds great. You're going to take that away. I don't have $40 million to buy a all ginormous John Deere, whatever tractor they have that God, you need 40. I don't have that. So are you giving me that to replace this? How's that? I mean, are you going to give me a loan at 0 so I can replace the workers I've lost?
What about government subsidies? And this is where I think government subsidies or programs to create transitional periods would be good. 100% what you said. John Deere created a new system that lets me harvest with some kind of truck or something.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The government said, because we took away all your cheap labor, we're going to give you a 0% interest loan, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're going to allow you to mitigate this period.
Well, you have to do something.
You have to do something. Yeah, but to just say leave it the status quo because we have cheaper fruit, Lincoln, we don't need, let's just leave it the status quo. Let these people stay slaves because I want to keep cheaper in our economy's benefit.
Or don't eat fruits and vegetables. I go with that one.
Or don't wear cotton clothes.
Yeah.
There's lycra and spandex. I look great in spandex.
Lycra. Well, you have that. What's that weird ass apple you eat that costs some freaking outrageous?
Oh, I like it. I like it. Get a lot of Japanese fruit.
Yeah. What's that?
I can't remember. But there's
what was that one that cost you? It was like 4 for some outrageous amount.
Yep. Well, there's also there's a Japanese strawberry that's $20 a strawberry. The Japanese love their fruit. They get really. And it's not just because it took a Japanese man to also pick it. It's like a perfect strawberry. It's like you might be paying a lot of money for it, but you're getting a perfect strawberry. I think that there you go. There's an example of how do you mitigate a lot of this stuff? You do this specialty programs.
Well, you're going to
Americans say, hey, rich people, we're going to fuel your ego. You're going to spend, a dozen strawberries cost you $50, but we're going to make them sure they're perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else, strawberries still cost $1 more or something than they usually have, but they're picked by Americans. Well, and guess what? I'm saying this nicely because it's nicely. White people need to stop being so lazy about that. I don't want to take that job. Guess what? You're not better than any other person out there.
No shit.
If you're not working and you can be employed picking a strawberry, go pick a strawberry, support your family. Why does only immigrants and and the darker shade of people you think that's their level of work, not my level of work? Shut up.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, look, I've did a lot of shit. I've dug many freaking ditches. I've freaking all kinds of horrible shit. Working with grandpa in the dump. I worked in a dump for like 3 years. I worked in a dump, people, where I would go to the dump in the trash fill and I would get all the aluminum and I'd strip it. I have 0 problems working my ass off. And like I said, the best thing should be just don't eat fruits and vegetables. But I'm looking at it from the farmer employee thing, where if you take away all my stuff, I'm still stuck with paying the mortgage, paying the rent, paying for everything else. And now I can't get anybody to come work for it. So
I think it's temporary, though. I honestly think it's temporary. I think it'll be a transitional period and people will come there. And at the end of the day, the farmers have to, because I actually knew a guy. He went to my church a long time ago, and he was going through a program because the field workers here, which were mostly Hispanics, they weren't even giving them like water during the hot days.
No, there was some horrible.
They were doing like really horrible things. You're like, dude, come on. You're right. Maybe you have to put some tents up and give these people free ice water or something like that for Americans to want to do this job. Maybe there's some things. Maybe you should have always been doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe just because they weren't white guys.
Regardless of the color of their skin or the
Regardless
language.
of the color of skin, maybe you should always give them
maybe
cold
they
water.
deserve to break.
Maybe they deserve a little cold water. Maybe they deserve a break. Maybe they deserve a tent to have a break in the shade for a while. I do not see, again, it's Trump, so it has to be the worst thing on earth. I do not see what we're doing with our deportation policies as a bad outcome. I see it as a bad transition.
Except for Mexican food, dude. Except for Mexican food.
Well, yeah, well, we're not going to have as good as tacos.
No, we will, because I refuse. There's like, no, we're not getting rid of it. No, I need good Mexican food.
Once you get outside of LA and into the edges of San Diego, it's hard to really good taco.
No, unless you go down to where in Arizona, we had some good tacos. Obviously.
Arizona has some good tacos.
Good places, but man, you get out in certain areas, you're like, this is just shit. Was this ketchup? Is this what this is? This is gross. All right. Heinz does not make hot sauce.
When I was in Alabama, we were visiting, in-laws, which my in-laws, because my wife is half black, would have been picking cotton in the old days, but
they weren't. Not at this.
But they weren't.
You did send me a great picture from the Civil Rights Museum where you had the Klan guy behind you, and you're all just like a brown carton.
But the taco there, they didn't even know what carne asada was. When I asked them, "Do you have carne asada tacos?" It was a very nice Southern accent. This little 20-year-old girl, carne what?
Yeah.
Oh, beef. They have beef tacos. They don't have How do you not have carne asada tacos?
I don't know.
And so, anyways, there's my little my jalapeno complaint. I'll call those the jalapeno
complaint. That is fantastic. This is fun. Let's do this again tomorrow. We talked about all kinds of crazy stuff tonight, including lots of cool stuff with AI. You guys have a good night. We will do it again mañana. Paul, the Wall of Truth, thank you so much for being the Wall of Truth. And peace out, everybody.